Thompson had felt disrespected, sources said, that the team didn't offer him an extension the summer after the Warriors won the title. That feeling only deepened the following summer when Golden State was willing to discuss 2-year contracts in the range of $23 to $24 million instead of matching the 4-year, $100 million deal that Draymond got. So the news today is that the Warriors did get another player in Buddy Hield, which we mentioned. Brew, do you think the Warriors should have done more to keep the core of the dynasty intact?
No.
Wow.
And look, I would have loved, it would have been great if they could stay together. Mm-hmm. And right now, they're about as good as they were last year.
Right.
So you kind of feel like, well, if we're just going to be okay, well, why not keep the band together, right? So, I get that. But what I will say is this. They gave Klay, and I know he felt disrespected, and I get it. His ego is part of what helped him become such a great player. But after he got hurt in those 2019 finals.
Oh, don't say it.
I'm saying it. If you're talking about
hadn't,
they gave him a 5-year max contract.
Yeah.
5 years, $190 million. I'm not sure who would have done that. I'm not sure who had cap space at that point to give him that type of deal, and he's got a torn ACL. And then, now this isn't just something they knew when they gave him the contract, but then he ruptures his Achilles.
Yeah,
and so he sat out 2 full years, and they knew one was coming. They knew that he was going to be out a whole year, and we'll give him this deal. So I think they look at it like, look,
we did right by you.
We did right by you. I will say this. If the reports are true that, every time he presented an offer this time, they were kind of like, look, we'll get to you. I think they should have been more upfront with him and been like, look, this is, okay, Klay, we're going to take care of you, or this is what we're thinking, but we're trying, let him know what you're trying to do. We're trying to make this move and that move to get us better. You're included, but they should have been open with him. He deserves that. But otherwise, look, it was time to move on. The Celtics stayed too long. They kept McHale till the wheels fell off, Robert Parrish till the wheels fell off, and Bird obviously just was done with his back. And it took them a long time to get back to being relevant. And so that's what happened. I think it was time to move on. And it wasn't handled perfectly, but they did right by Klay when they gave him that huge deal.
We might need a little more time on this, because I disagree with, I think, everything Brew just said. So I don't think they did I don't think they did Klay Thompson any favors by giving him that deal. It would have been there for someone else. Kevin Durant.
Maybe you don't. Klay, with all due respect, is not Kevin Durant.
I understand, but he was at peak of his powers. What was he? The 13th best player in the league, whatever it was, on the back end of, and they knew they were losing Kevin Durant. They had to keep Klay Thompson. They couldn't alienate him, and they didn't know he was going to blow his Achilles. In that moment, guys come back from torn ACLs and are 100% or close to it all the time. That was not charity. That was good business. That's first.
But it was also doing right by him.
But I guess I don't view it that way. I felt like it was doing right by the Warriors. It would have been a bananas business decision to, in that moment, be like, Klay, we're not signing you. That would have been insane. Because we didn't know he was then going to pop his Achilles a year later and miss 2.5 seasons. In that moment, it was like, okay, he's going to probably miss next year, but you still have Draymond, you still have Steph, you've been to 5 straight finals, you almost won this championship without Kevin Durant, you could keep winning. So that's first of all. Second of all, it would be one thing, Brew, if they had gotten something massive in return for Klay. They didn't. Instead, and this is what I was wrong with Wilds about before the show, because I was trying to think of an instance. I can't think of an instance in the NBA of ownership opting into breaking up a dynasty that wanted to stay together, even if they're not dynastic anymore. So if you go Shaq and Kobe, that was not ownership. That was those two guys. It was pick one of us.
Well, not getting along, but they did decide to move on from Shaq.
Yes, but because they were going to have to move on from one of them because the two guys didn't like each other anymore.
But that had been going on for a while.
Agreed, but that's not this situation where everyone wanted to be together, right? You mentioned McHale, Bird, Parrish. They didn't break them up. Kareem retired. The Jordan Bulls, everyone left. All of them left. I can't think of an instance where you have this core that did all this together, and then one of them wants to come back, and the team is like, we won't even present you an offer? And just real quick, they offered him 2 for $48 last offseason. Last offseason, Bruce Brown got 2 for $45. Anthony Simons is on 4 for $100. Tyler Hero makes $30 a year. 2 for $48 to Klay was a take it if you want it type of offer. And then this year...
So you think they should have offered him more years or more money?
More years.
More years,
With the same deal they offered Draymond.
But
it's all about Lacob's salary
They're
cap.
still trying to build. And I get ownership being like, look, if we're not close to a championship, I'm not paying the second apron tax and all that.
So I
totally get that.
So I
only want to pay that tax if I got a chance to win the championship.
So they gave Jordan Poole 4 for $128. They gave Wiggins 4 for $110. A year later, they then gave Draymond 4 for $100. And they offered Klay 2 for $48. And then this year, a different report, but there's been a lot of really good reporting around this. Before Klay went to Dallas, his agent broached them with, hey, would 2 for $40, 20 a year, be available? And they were like, we don't know. That's spitting in the guy's face. That's where
they should have been open and honest with him. But I'm sorry, I do not blame them for moving on. You give me the example where staying too long with the dynasty guys helped the franchise.
I guess
they're still trying to win.
Are they?
Yeah.
But how? What have they done?
Well, right now they're going after Mark. They've done a lot. Now they haven't been able to get that big move. You think it's so easy because you think the Lakers just snap their fingers, make the big move. Warriors make the big move. It's not easy.
No, I don't think
they're trying though clearly to build this, have these young guys mesh with Steph and Draymond.
Right, but my question is this. What would that's why I said if they had traded Klay and gotten something, and now that's going to be part of their big move, what big move that they're trying to do would have been prevented by, instead of giving Buddy Hield $11 million a year, you gave Klay Thompson $20? The answer is none. It's about the luxury tax. And
it shouldn't be?
No. Joe Lacob bought the team for $450 million.
To be a mediocre team.
But you're saying they're not trying to be mediocre.
No, but right now they are.
So then
if I'm mediocre, I'm not paying that luxury tax.
Okay.
Why in the world should I do that? I've been paying it for years.
Because the reason your team is now worth $6 billion more than you bought it for is because of this guy and his 2 buddies. And to do this to that player, I think is disgraceful. And I think to not, and again, maybe disgraceful is too strong.
It is.
But to do it in this way, where you won't return his counter offer, you string him along, you invite him to go play golf, thinking where he thinks he's going to get, figure out what's happening with the contract. Then he finds out Lacob doesn't like to talk business on the golf course. Like, buddy, I'm a 4 handicap. I can play elsewhere if I don't need your access to this country club. Like, the whole thing's, I think, not the way, and I just can't think of an instance, Brew, where another team's done it. Where another team had a dynastic run and they just...
an instance where it didn't work out. I just brought up the Celtics. Sometimes you need to... I'm not saying go as far as Belichick, but what Belichick always do? Get rid of them too early rather than too late. And I'm not saying... This is not too early for Klay. But I'm saying if you're still trying to win going forward, and I think if they can win, I think you'll pay the luxury tax. But if they can get a Lowry Markkanen... Are you going to be hating on what they're trying to do?
What I'm asking, and maybe I'm wrong, would they not have been able to get Lowry Markkanen with Klay on the roster? Why?
Klay was not, and I don't blame him, but he was having trouble accepting his role. And they wanted him in an even lesser role coming back this year.
I think one of the reasons he had trouble accepting his role was because a year ago, it'd be one thing if it's like I'm a lesser player, but I'm taken care of. Instead, I'm in a free agency year. You gave Draymond this offseason 4 for $100. You then offered me literally half that. You have seen what type of citizen Draymond's been here, what I've been here. Then during the year you saw all that, and I'm still not taken care of. I think part of Klay's struggles last year were contract related.
And some of that was timing, though. I mean, Poole and Wiggins were up. Then Draymond was up. Some of that was just that Klay came later.
Wiggins had a year
was
left.
part of your young core, though.
Yeah, but
at that
they
point.
extended Wiggins a year early after the championship. They could have extended Klay, then they didn't. They then could have extended Klay a year later, and they didn't. And now I just didn't like it. I didn't like how they handled it. And I don't think they're all of a sudden contenders.
Not right now, but if they can, we'll see if they can make a move to, get somebody.
Okay. Coming up next, Jordan Love on Superstar Watch. Brew was right about this all along. Next.